Welcome back, enemies of the fire. Fuck. Anyway, welcome, welcome back, enemies of the fire.
Speaking of
we
fuck,
are here. Yeah, we are here to talk about controversy within Chicago Fire. Hashtag CF97 land. DPG, bring me up to speed, man. What's going on here?
So I'm not sure about the whole controversy on Twitter. I am going
Well, I
based
just
on
call all internet, even just
everything's
reporting. I call
controversy.
all
Okay,
internet
everything.
Yeah.
hashtag CF97.
So Jiggly, who writes for Men in Red 97. Again, they do the Lord's work. He created a very good article about Chicago Fire fandom and whatnot. Everything looked great. The only thing I didn't like personally, and I tried to talk to him about it a little bit on the Fire server, was his approach. First of all, questioning, whether or not a certain Fire fan would still be supporting the Fire, despite the fact that they wrote a whole thesis on what are the best things about being a Fire fan.
I believe they wrote that like when they were maybe on their way out, so to speak.
And this
that's
was
what I've heard.
Yeah,
is that what I've
the
heard?
The fan we're speaking of is Brandon Kitchens, correct?
Brandon Kitchen, yeah. So we're talking about
who's in the Ring of Fire.
Right, he's in the Ring of Fire. I will say this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I literally got into the Fire and not just the sport of soccer the same year the kid passed away. So I don't even know if our paths ever, even crossed during my enjoyment of the team. But yeah, to DPG's point, what you're saying, I kind of feel like it's easy. It's what I call the Kurt Cobain theory. He was never alive long enough to make a bad record or say something shitty about somebody. He seemed like a pretty awesome dude, but it's hard to go back and put words in his mouth or say what he would or would not stand for right now. But I do overall, as a general idea, love the idea of the thought process and the actually, let's take a look at this hard topic of okay, so this person never had the chance to get to where we are now. But would that person have been lost with so many others that we've lost along the way? And how it's not just that they've been bad too. It's just how oppressive the front office has been, just how much any kind of joy has been sucked out of things. So it's I do like that as a thought experiment. And so I know some people would be touchy about that. But I mean, I don't know, maybe there is a better way of putting it. Maybe there isn't. But I don't have any kind of problem with the thought experiment, and then even the idea behind it, which was, hey man, let's actually let's just leave that in the past for a little bit. We need a reset. Let's do something new for a little while.
And it's I don't think evolution.
How do you ever come up with a new tradition? And then how does anything ever become nostalgic if you only do one thing forever? And then if you do that, it becomes not a tradition, it becomes a routine, and it loses any kind of impact that it has. So I don't know, like I said, I like the idea of the thoughts behind it.
But my thing is this. You have Brandon Kitchen, who actually took time and write this, I call it a thesis about being
stand and deliver
about being a Fire fan, right? Anybody that takes time to write something like that, they really have the fire in their heart. And I would like to think that he will still be a fan. I wouldn't necessarily think that he'll stop being a fan, because I'm a big Fire fan, but I can never see myself writing something like that. There are Fire fans that take inspiration with what he wrote. Even some of the newer Fire fans might have read what he wrote and said, "Hey, wow, this is inspiring."
Well, I know what the kid's name is, and I know what Stand and Deliver is, and I never met him or was even a fan at the same time he was with us with us. So I went back and found out. You know what I mean? When I became a fan, that type of thing, because soccer is a different kind of sport. You have more of a community to it.
But I mean, overall, the article itself, the rest of the article, was great. I think Jiggly actually, wrote it on as a continuation of that. He now, there's an emphasis on the hard times, but pulling through as a united fan base through all the hardships, through all the losses. saying, hey, we still are Fire fans, even though we might be bottom of the league or towards the bottom of the league. We might not make the playoffs all the time, but we still need to stand and deliver.
With Jiggly, I'm looking at some of these people that were commenting about his article, and I felt that they had a warranted argument to make. At the same time, I also felt that Jiggly brought up, as you guys said, an interesting thought experiment, even though maybe he didn't have the most deft hand in getting there. Because it starts with, as we can all tell you, addressing difficult topics in any setting, whether it's social media, tweeting, or YouTube or podcasting, is public. And public discussions like these things are sensitive sometimes, and but yet they can bring insight and knowledge and genuine engagement to things we might not otherwise think about. And Jiggly was earnestly trying to bring that to what he thought Brandon Kitchens was about. I definitely see that, what he was envisioning in his article, and I also can see that it didn't work out the way he wanted it to. But that's what it takes. That's what sometimes happens when you have passion and bravery to go to places and talk about things that matter. And I applaud Jiggly for trying to go to places and talking about things that matter to him, albeit in a way that, here's the thing, it's gonna step on a few people's eggshells, because you're talking about a person who's deceased, no longer here, about what they could think. That alone is a whole onion to a wrap.
It's a can of worms.
It's a can of worms.
Well, think
but at the
about
same time,
the Venn diagram that exists between, like, this person's not famous, but yet this person was a big part of a big community in a city of 3 million people. So there's going to be a decent amount of people that know about this person.
And that's where I come in, and I wonder what you guys say about
a
thought experiment. And that's where I wonder, like, that's what Jiggly's trying to truly provide. He's like, hey, we have had passionate fans before. What would they be going through? Because look at us passionate fans. We are finding ourselves doubting our love for the Fire here and there. Would this passionate fan also be doubting themselves? It is an honest question to ask for anybody. And for that, I say, Jiggly was an interesting thought experiment. However, handling that is such a delicate balance.
It's a sensitive situation, and it's even more sensitive when someone that might have known Brandon Kitchens reads this.
That was when someone who might have known Brandon a lot better starts to read that. So that's wherein lies not the problem, but so much the issue of writing such a thing. But I gotta applaud Jiggly for trying to take it there, because it's got us talking about some of these things. It's got us asking these questions about what it's like to be a Chicago Fire fan this long. And also, it honors and brings up Brandon. It brings him back up. It makes him relevant.
You're right.
So props to Jiggly. Jiggly did all of that through his article, and I know that people took umbrage, were upset at it, and they have every right to be. However, it was good of Jiggly to maybe evoke these sentiments that maybe were latent in them, and that they got to get out as well. And then we as other Fire fans get to read this and also further get to appreciate Brandon's presence and legacy. So it's been an eye-opening experience for all involved, readers and writers, people who are upset, everybody. It's been great. And to me, also on top of that, Jiggly comes out and apologizes. To me, he did not have to. To me, you went into a place, you tried to do that, you did not have to apologize. However, he came out and apologized, and his apology actually adds so much further
context
and positive. It just shows the amount of reflection and thought that Jiggly put into this, that maybe some people did not think he put into. But it's hard. In order to tackle this concept, you need a long time, and Jiggly's got a limited time. What are you supposed to do as a writer? You got to get this out. He's got to get this out. He's got to run it through editors.
It's an article, not a novel.
It's an article, not a novel. And who knows? Maybe he can make an article or a novel out of this, because Jiggly has shown that he's learned from it. And to me, he admitted he fell short. He's corrected, and he's gonna. I guarantee you, Jiggly's gonna learn from this type of thing. He's a young kid. He's gonna learn. Sometimes you don't. Hopefully, you're lucky. I call it lucky to learn. I call it lucky to learn, because I've been in that situation where you're not so lucky to learn, and you're dead. The person's dead. So if you're lucky to learn, you're lucky to learn, and take it for what that is. Sorry.
And just for some background information, Jiggly, he's grown up with this club. I think
absolutely
his parents were Fire fans before he even was born. So he grew up with this club. He is a diehard Fire fan. And also on that note, I just want to say, if you guys haven't had a chance, go, follow Men in Red 97. They do the Lord's work. Alex Calabrese
they're the journalists. We're reckless over here.
They're the journalists. They're ESPN.
We'll shoot from the hip.
Is an amazing
take
journalist.
The calculated sniper shot, because they got the research, the data, and we're like, we don't need the data. We're going in hot shots. But the fact that Jiggly has the brass cojones to navigate those tough topics, to try and bring them up, to me, I applaud him for that, and I hope this does not stop him from doing it in the future. Nope. However, I also hope that he's able to take, from the lessons. I think everybody would hope that you just are able to take from the lessons. And it doesn't have to be the perfect lesson. And you watch Royko. There's a famous Chicago writer called Royko. You can look at the lessons that guy's learned throughout the years, like the 60s and the 70s.
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to make an apology, because I'm going to have to apologize. I'm going to send this to the commercial break. Peace out. We'll be back to talk more Fire.